Hallo julle.
Hi everybody.
Hi everybody.
It's so good to be online and just share with you our story. We are celebrating our 5th anniversary in Mpumalanga.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited to share a little bit of our story with you.
Yeah. So we are in May, the month of May, and Donnie and I, we've met each other 28 years ago in May.
In May.
In May.
In
And-
Limpopo, Palabora.
Yeah, 1992, and we also got married the same year, 6 months later. So, but it's this December it will be 28 years that we've been married, and
Wow.
also
She survived. Yeah.
and also 28 years that we've been together in the ministry. So, because it's our 5th birthday of Neon in Mpumalanga, we decided to make this video to just share our journey, 28 years.
Celebrate our journey.
Celebrate our journey, and maybe our grandchildren can one day look at this video and say, wow, that's my grandpa and grandma and that's their story. So we decided to start at the beginning. We met each other in Palabora.
Yeah.
That's
I was part of here actually 2000, traveling through South Africa and looking for a wife in every town. I mean, I was 24. I was my mom and dad was in Polokwane that weekend before we went to Palabora, and my mom laid her hands on my head and she said, "I bless you with a good wife," not knowing that the next week, I would see her and fall in love and yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for a husband. Long story short, but I don't know. When I saw Donnie, it was like fireworks, butterflies.
It's like all the galaxies aligned.
Yeah, the whole tutti. I don't know. We just knew. And then when we decided to get married 6 months later,
Short, yeah, no.
that was like, whatever.
Yeah, the church had their reasons why they believe we got married.
Yes.
Our first child was born 3 years later.
Yeah. So then we got married, and I had to leave my awesome town and move to Johannesburg, the city.
Concrete jungle.
Yeah. So I moved to Johannesburg, and we were in Youth Outreach 2000. Donnie were in the group the year that we met each other. They were touring our town, and that's how we met. And so I went with him the next year. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I grew up on a farm. I couldn't speak in front of people. I didn't know.
That is even Afrikaans. It's a miracle that she can sit here and talk to you in English, because just in Afrikaans she had stage fright. She couldn't talk to people.
I had this fear of speaking in front of people. I didn't know how to pray. It was just my first year of marriage, and that's a thing that I maybe want to mention, because a lot of people get married and they are in this first year of marriage and they kind of feel, no, well, this is not going to work. Well, I just want to tell all of those people, my first year of marriage was the hardest.
It was the most difficult year of our entire life being married.
Yes, and we've made it, and it was really, I was used to just do whatever I want to. I could wear whatever I want to. Then we got into this group of young people, but we weren't allowed to wear makeup,
jeans,
even long pants, and they had all these rules, and it was
just religious
so
mumbo
difficult.
jumbo.
Yeah, but we survived, and then we went to Primrose.
To be youth pastors at at the Pentecostal Protestant Church in Primrose. Now we don't have photos of that.
Yeah, I was thinking that was before Facebook, so we don't really have a lot of photos, and I don't even have photos here, so I'm not sure if we will be able to maybe get a photo of the church building. But yeah, we don't have
Google Maps.
We don't have photos, but I became pregnant with Shani, and Shani was born in Johannesburg, and then she was 4 months old. We decided to take our first congregation, and we moved to Empangeni.
KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah.
Empangeni, a town with lots of crime and no members in our church. When we got there, the church was in debt, the building was deteriorated.
The doors were actually closed.
Yeah, there was nobody there.
And we just had a new baby. And I remember the first night we rented a little townhouse, and the first night we got there were no electricity. So we were sitting in this town that we know nobody.
Yeah.
With this
nobody came to welcome us. There was people standing with signs, "Don't enter Shai, welcome to Empangeni." No, but nothing like that.
And we had this small little baby, and
the estate agent brought us one of that. It was a radio with a small little
TV.
with a black and white TV in. So we were lying on a mattress inside. Our truck was delayed with that moved our stuff from Primrose, and so we were sitting in the dark watching. No, we couldn't watch TV then.
Yeah, we were sitting there for hours, and we were like, "Oh my word, this is so bad!" And then Donnie decided to just go and look if the DB is switched on, the electricity.
Yeah. So there was electricity all along, but the DB was switched off.
Yeah, that's a good lesson.
It's a spiritual lesson,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Even though you don't feel that there's
power.
Yeah, there's light around you. The DB is switched on.
Yeah.
You are in Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we started building that church out of nothing. Our head office promised us that they will pay our townhouse for the first 6 months, which they didn't do. Threw us into the deep water.
I remember, because I can't play any instruments and I can't sing, and so Donnie took the keyboard and we wrote on the keyboard.
Hou vast, dis waar. Okay, nou sê jy wat jy pad het.
So Donnie took the keyboard and we wrote on the keyboard
A B C D E F G. Yeah.
A B C D E F G. Nee.
One touch program.
We put it on one touch program. We had our songs, and then Donnie would write on the songs A C G whatever, and then I would stand and he would sing, and I would just press the buttons on the keyboard, and we would have our band. So yeah, it wasn't easy, but the Lord blessed us with an amazing band.
Yeah, and lovely people. So
Yes.
the first, we were talking this morning about Umkosi and Tanileti. That was some of the first members that came.
The first service when Umkosi and Tanileti came to our church, we went and we greeted them, and they actually thought we are the pastor's children, because Donnie were 28 and I were 24 years old when we started our first church. And so we were so young, and they thought, oh, it's the pastor's children. And when we said, hi, Donnie said, I'm the new pastor, this is my wife Shai, they were like, and they stuck it out. They were there until we left in Empangeni.
And they are both gone on to be with the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was our first church we ever pastored. Secondly, in the denomination that we were part of, there wasn't any support from head office coming to you and asking you, are you doing well? Have you got food on your table? Even phoning.
Ja, dit was nie 'n goeie idee om met hierdie tyd van die dag te doen nie, Donnie.
Nee, dit is 'n goeie idee om net te rustig raak. Jy kan foto's van dit kry dalk.
Ja, ek het baie ons huis.
Ja.
Ja.
It was a difficult time for us because we had no support from our head office. nobody even phoned you and asked you, are you okay, have you got food on your table, or even wish you a happy birthday. It was just being under an umbrella that's got holes in. And,
yeah, in Afrikaans you say swem Jannie swem.
Yeah, it was swem, Jannie swem. I think they just believe that if there's a calling on your life, you'll make it, and if you don't make it, you were not called to be in ministry. We really loved the people in Empangeni, and we became good friends with them. And when the Lord spoke to us to plant a church in Palabora, they were very sad that we left. But the church was, the people in the church was well equipped that they could, and they actually ran that church for 8 months without a pastor, and then the denomination forced the wrong person in the system, and the doors were just closed again. But the people that we've invested in, they are, the majority of them we still know today, and we are still friends with them today, and a lot of them in full-time ministry. And it was just awesome to see how God would just outside the context of the denomination,
Yeah.
just take these people and grow them, and it's not that we had something to present to them. I think we just had a passion and a love for people. That was a simple thing. When we moved to Palabora, her hometown,
That was not easy for me, because I grew up there, and I kind of felt that everybody would just look at me as
Shai.
little Shai or whatever. And
and 54 members in our church was her family. All lived in Palabora.
So it wasn't really easy. I mean, a lot of people actually thought that I wanted to move back, but I actually didn't want to move back. But long story short, we moved to Palabora. We were in Palabora for 15 years.
Hot years.
15 years.
15 years in the hot seat.
And it's actually such an amazing town. And that stage when we lived in Palabora, it was really
It was a beautiful town.
awesome time. I mean, we had the most amazing time there with all those people that we so love. I mean, we've met people over those 15 years, amazing people. We've lost a lot of people. Donnie spoke about John the other day.
He passed away, last meaning passed.
Yeah, he passed away. He was in a wheelchair. Jock, we used to say that Jock was, because we are such right-brain people, and we used to say that Jock is our left brain and our right hand, and Ronnie and Tony, and we just lost so many people that we loved, and but
yeah, in 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine over 15 years, but luckily we still are friends, and we still communicate, and Facebook makes it so easy, so we still have so many friends, and a lot of people have moved out of Palabora because
out of South Africa.
Out of South Africa.
Some of our members live in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States. So there's people that moved all over the world from out of that small little town. Mining related moves, geographical moves. So we had fun.
Yeah, and then after making all those memories in Palabora, we decided that we would love to have a church in Nelspruit, and we said, okay, we'll wait until Shani is done with school, with matric, and then we would move. And so it wasn't easy. It was difficult. It was every time we went to visit Frikkie and in White River, we felt that God is talking to us about Mpumalanga. And then we made the commitment to the Lord, saying that we will go if Shani is done with matric, which was negative on Kaylee because she was then in her first year of high school. Yeah.
But when Shani finished matric, in that year while Shani was doing matric, our church, we closed our Sunday services, moving our fellowship to Thursday evening, so that we could be available to plant the church in Mpumalanga on Sundays, preach there, and then for an entire year I drove up and down between the two cities, preaching on a Thursday evening in in Palabora, then driving back, and then Sunday we have our church in White River. We couldn't find a venue in Nelspruit, and it just worked out that way that we were in.
Yeah, well, what happened is we thought we would sell our house like in 3 months, and then we couldn't get our house sold, so we were forced to stay with my sister and Frikkie for a year, and they were in White River, and so the best option for a building we could find was in White River, so we decided, well, then let's do it, let's start the church there.
So we left our Palabora congregation with their income, because I mean when the Chinese took over the mine, they basically closed all businesses in town. They literally closed all businesses in town, and people were really in a very tight spot. Many of our congregation members moved away, but we were already gone, and we didn't leave Palabora because of the collapse in the economy. We left on the peak with all these. With this process, we had a 2 million offer on a house that we rejected. We said, no, we're not going to sell our house at 2 million. We can get more for our house. So because the economy was going to expand, there was rumors that they were going to build another steel factory there that will provide jobs for 5,000 people. So we left Palabora on a peak. But when we were in Mpumalanga, when we were there, the Chinese took over the mine at the beginning of that year. The economy collapsed. It completely collapsed in such a way that, and we couldn't take the money out of Palabora because we had a church building there. We had people running the ministry there. So we told them they can keep the funding, whatever they take, they kept, and then we just in faith just started that church at that building that burned.
Yeah, and now we can't even we've got our house in the market for 1.3 million. It's been 5 years. We can't get our house sold. So today, 5 years ago, we had our first service in White River. White River.
In that building that burned, when we first saw the building, we loved it, but it was just a shell. It was completely stripped. The electrical cables were pulled out of the walls. There wasn't any lighting in. There was no electricity.
Yeah, we worked so hard.
Oh man, we worked.
It was just Donnie and I, and then Frikkie and Leanne and Hannelien and them would, after work in the afternoons, after 5 o'clock or whatever, they would come and help us. But we were all so tired. I remember there were nights that I really stood in the shower and I just cried because I was just so tired. I couldn't even wash my hair. And we didn't know anybody that could come and help us, so we had to fix the whole building.
Luckily, Andries and Sariska from ACDC, they were members in our church in Palabora. They moved to Nelspruit long before us, and luckily they jumped in and they did all the electricity for us, the electrical supply, gave us a generator, and got the system up and running. And we had a nice venue.
Yeah.
Until it burned.
Yeah. I remember the night that we had the fire. We were having a meal, and somebody phoned us and said, "Your building is on fire." And about 3 weeks before that, somebody also phoned us and said, "Your building is on fire," but it was only the field around the church. So we kind of thought, "No, man, it's just the field. Just go and have a look." We were sure it's just the field again. And then they phoned back and said, "No, so sorry, but the whole building there's just flames." And we are about 30
kilometers away.
Minutes drive from White River, because we were already staying in Nelspruit. And we were driving like crazy people.
To see what we can salvage.
Yeah, and when we got there, it was just flames. Oh, I remember, I just started to cry. It was everything we had worked for in the ministry, and at that time it was, I think, 26 years in ministry. All our instruments, all our chairs. Well, luckily, just before the building burned down, Donnie turned 50, and I wanted to have a big party for him, and I begged him to please.
Insisted.
Yeah. Please, can he bring some of the chairs from the church?
I said, no, people can bring their camping chairs. We can have a 50th birthday around the campfire.
I said, no, if you don't want to do it, I'll ask Frikkie. And thank goodness, Frikkie agreed. And so when our church building burned down, we had 120 extra chairs.
Yeah, that wasn't destroyed.
That didn't burn.
230 chairs was just gone. Everything was gone. Apart from my personal drums that I had for many, many years, and a bass amp that my dad
Shani's
bought when I was
keyboard.
in grade 11. We bought that bass amp, and then a
Your
guy
guitar.
actually bought it from my dad in our church, and then he just donated it back to the ministry. Shani's keyboard, all our instruments is just not insured, kaput. And then people ask you, but why don't you insure your stuff? You know, you're supposed to insure your stuff, but it wasn't the venue was not in a state that you could actually insure it. They would not insure it, and even if they did, they would not pay out, because at the bottom was a pallet company. They stripped wooden pallets. That's what they did. So the risk was way too high. We leased the top level, but the risk was way too high with those guys there. So they would have charged us a crazy amount and still not have paid us out. So yeah, and then our journey started. We had nowhere to go with our church. We had nowhere to go with our church family. We stood there. We tried to salvage what we could, a handful of things, and then we just notified the congregation and said, listen, the building burned down, but the church didn't. So come to our small holding in Nelspruit. We have a braai, and we decide where we go from there. And then one guy said, but why don't we have church right here? Now, we like a choir said, it won't work. It's a horrible gravel road that you need to travel for 3.1 kilometers. It's 30 kilometers away from our church, which was on the outside of, it was on the just outside of White River. So majority of people in White River had to travel at least 40 kilometers to get to the venue, and we had no facilities. And then there's one guy just said, I love it here. Let's do it here. And we thought, well, let's do it. But we had a lot of resistance that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. We tried to keep this short, but our first service we had under a shade cloth that had holes in, and I think after the second or third service we had a huge storm, and everything just
it was actually we actually
Way.
rebuilt something every week. We do something, and then the wind would destroy it, because there's a lot of wind where we live.
And we didn't have money. And I remember the one day I was done. I went and I sat there, and everything was just blown down on the ground, and I was so tired and I was so frustrated, and I just said, Lord, I'm done. I can't anymore. I mean, it's been 26 years in ministry. We've started new, but then it was about 3 years ago in White River. We worked so hard. We lost everything. Now we need to start again. I can't. I'm just too tired. And that same day, a guy phoned us and said to Donnie, would you guys like
Do you need a roof?
Yeah, do you need a roof? A zinc, what do you call it?
Yeah, it's an IBR roof.
IBR
He was actually on his plot at that moment, stripping down that roof between two buildings. And Andries Mulder is a friend of his, and he just said, I said to Andries, I just saw in the newspaper that your guys are rebuilding a church. Do they need a roof? Andries phoned me, said yes. I phoned the guy. He said, well, I'm stripping this roof. It's a 12 by 6 meter roof. Do you want it? I said, absolutely. He said, well, I don't have a truck, Bucky, to come and get it. He said, it's on a trailer. Bring your car, hook it, and bring my trailer back. Then the guys in the church, Hansie, I threw the concrete columns in the week. Hansie came, measured everything out. He made the uprights. That Saturday we erected the first portion of the building.
Yeah, then we had to build toilets, because you need toilets if you've got a church. And we started to build zinc, what do you call it?
Corrugated
iron toilets. And I
had a veggie area that I prepared for that was going to be under, it's almost like a tunnel. And then we just put a company donated watertight shade netting to us, and we pulled that over that thing, and the children's church is under that even today. Open plan church, the nicest open plan children's church in the world.
Church in the bush.
You have church, and the cows look at you through the fence and they go.
Yeah. But it was so difficult. It wasn't easy. And then we
had to rezone.
Yeah, we had to rezone our property. We didn't have money. We had to borrow money from my parents. We had to refinance our Fortuner. And
to buy the property.
We had 30,000 rand, yeah, to pay off the property with the money of my parents, and then we had 30,000 rands left, and then we decided to buy poles.
Yeah, the gum poles for the church.
Yeah.
For the church structure.
And we just started to dig
Shai,
the holes.
myself and Vusi. We just I manufactured a 3-leg with a snatch block, 6 meters high, but the poles were 7.8, so just too short. We were tired about on a third through the snatch block. The Shai would reverse the car, lift the poles, put it in the hole, and then she would come back a little bit so that the pole can go down, and we would sprug it, and we planted 14 poles like that.
It was huge poles, and I prayed. I don't know how many times I prayed for the angels just to protect us. And then when we got on top doing the roof structure.
Yeah, when we wanted to do the trusses.
Yes. Donnie decided to use a grinder.
With a circular blade. Brilliant idea. Now don't do that.
Illegal. Ne?
Yeah.
And so the one day I was working in the garden and he was on top with that thingy, and I said, listen, please, don't use that thing. And he actually promised and said, no, I actually realize it's not safe to use it, I won't use it. The next day I was in the garden, I had old clothes on, and I just went in to get water or something, and I heard the grinder again.
I had to shave 4 millimeters of a pole that we have cut, that needs to go in a 45 into the ring beam like that, and it just wouldn't fit, so I had to shave 4 millimeters, and Vusi sat on the pole, and when I cut it, he turned his head away and he twisted the pole, and the blade went through my leg, chopped through 60% of my shin bone, huge 15 stitches scar right through my leg. And all the other days we didn't have cars on the property, because the Shani would go to work with her car, and Kaylee would take the Fortune and go to school, or either. And that was luckily it was a public holiday, so there was vehicles on the farm. Otherwise I would have most probably bled to death.
Yeah.
And
I just heard him screaming. I walked out of the house and I just heard a scream, and he said, bring rope and a towel and the car keys.
Yeah.
And I didn't have shoes on. I was so dirty. My face was red and full of dust, and I mean, I was working in the garden, and my hair were just in a pony and whatever. And
I was 7 meters up on a scaffolding, by the way.
He still had to come down, and I drove like a crazy woman. And you know what he said to me while I'm driving to the hospital? He's telling me, safety first.
Yeah, I mean, she can kill me on the road to the hospital.
Can you imagine that? Safety first.
Drive cautiously with me in the car. But it was a very painful encounter. It was stupid for me to do that. I'm grateful that the Lord, if I stood in, if my legs were close together, I could have chopped my one foot off, or I could have lost both my legs. I could have lost my life. That thing is seriously dangerous. It was just absolutely reckless. The problem is you don't have money, you don't have people helping you, and everybody that in the church says we can help you on a Saturday. I know they work from Monday until Saturdays, and I didn't expect them to then come and help me there. While I mean, what do I do in the rest of the week and work? And yeah, but we got the roof finished eventually. We built five trusses.
You couldn't work for
13 weeks. We lost 13 weeks. Yeah.
That we couldn't work, and then
and we had a conference that was coming up.
Batty contacted us and said, listen, we've got this 5 amazing women coming from America. Don't you guys want to host them at your church? And we said, but we still don't have a venue. But at that stage, we didn't know Dawn is going to cut his leg. So we said, okay, well, we might make it because it's only in October. And then we lost 13 weeks that we couldn't work.
Couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, because it was just Donnie, me and Vusi. And so
after 6 weeks, I went back to the doctor. The chunk that was chopped out of my leg was it was a 4 to 5 millimeter blade, and the chunk that was chopped through didn't close up. You could see slight movement on the edges, so I had to wait another 6 weeks before I went. Yeah, and then there was a little bit of movement where you could see that the grapes actually closing up. And then another week after that, I started working with a moon boot. I said, I can't just not do anything. We have to operate. Yeah.
But we got the roof on. We actually said, if we could only have a roof over our heads for the conference, we would be happy.
Yeah.
And the Lord just blessed us. I can't even, I want to cry if I think about how God just blessed us.
Supplied our need.
And we had the floor done, we had the roof
It
done,
wasn't an
we
easy
had
feat,
the
folks.
walls done.
Yeah, the foundation was 1.4 meters high on the one side, 1.1 on the other side, going down to the 18 meters where it was level. So we had to fill that entire thing
We
up.
worked day and night. We started the cement floor. We started the morning at 7. We ended at 10 o'clock that evening.
Well, we had a TLB, luckily, that could bring the sand up, first of all, for the filling. And then the church guys came and they said, let's jump in. Natasha, Nico, that has lost his life a couple of months ago in a motorbike accident, they came. Our local Nelspruit folks came with their wheelbarrows and tools, and we just filled that thing before we could do the concrete. We had to put filling in. It took us long
We've got,
time.
how many steps do we have?
I think
12.
there's, 12.
It took us one whole day to fill one step.
Yeah, because you build a step and then you fill it up back,
It's
you
so
backfill.
high.
And then you build another step and you fill it up backwards. And
Yeah, so it took us 14 days just to fill the steps. And then we had to fill the rest of the building, which was so high in the one side that we had to fill up.
And one of our ladies in the congregation, she said she's going to send us 3 guys to help us with wheelbarrows during the week.
Yeah, luckily.
Yeah, so she sponsored them, and then it was me, Vusita, Shai, and the 3 guys, and then we moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved.
Yeah.
But when it was time to do the concrete, folks, that was a big
That
area
was
to
such
do.
a hard job. You know what? You look at people working and you think, okay, it looks. If you have to do it yourself, you can't even imagine.
Can't do ready mix.
You can't imagine. Your Vusi and Nubile had to mix the daga, and then
Yeah, they mix it in. I've got a small concrete mixer that I purchased many years. I think I purchased it in 2006. So we would do a block of 3 by 13 meters daily.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the first morning we started at 7 the morning.
But one day, then we skipped a day, and we did a second day, and we skipped a day.
Yeah.
We couldn't just because.
But then we would work until, because you can't stop. If you start to do the floating, you can't stop. And then we would go on, try and put lights in the building, and we would float. And you are on your knees until your knees hurt. Then you go on your bum until you can't sit on your bum on a
scaffolding plank. Yeah.
scaffold plank, né? And then you would go on your hurka. What's hurka?
You crunch. But the thing is, we floated the concrete. We could have done the concrete floor, which would have been easy, and then do a topping afterwards. But we wanted to save time and money, so we just immediately floated the concrete, which wasn't easy.
Yeah, it was the whole time. It was money, because you could get ready mix cement, which would have been so easy. But we couldn't afford it because it was too expensive. So everything we did, we were thinking about money and trying to save money and trying to do everything ourselves, because we couldn't afford to get extra people to come and help us. And so we were working from 7 until 9, a lot of evenings.
7 to 11.
We were so tired. Oh no, we were.
Backbreaking.
Yeah, that was hard.
Then we had a friend in our church that blessed us out of the blue. It's not in our church, but he just wanted to phone me and said, Donnie, I've deposited 50,000 rand in. Because we had no idea that we thought if we have a foundation and a roof up, we'll have conference. And then he blessed us with in total 150,000 rand.
I think we are forgetting a lot of stuff that we really actually would love to mention. But even the windows, a church in Cape Town, Rian and them, they phoned us the one morning and they said, listen, we know you guys need glass. We've got 10,000. We don't know if it will help, but we want to give that for windows, and we just have a story for every single little thing that we needed. We just have an awesome story. Even our house, I mean, when we moved, when we stayed on Leanne and Fricky's stoop for so long, we bought this piece of property. We didn't have money for a house. Also, we started with four poles.
Yeah.
We planted the poles and we said, okay, well, this is what we've got.
We're going to build a wooden house.
A wooden house. And my dad said, no, listen, let me just help you. I'll give you 20,000 rand. Just go and get some bricks. And I will never forget it. We worked out. If we took a little piece of paper and we worked out and we said, okay, if we buy 16,000 rands bricks, then we've got 4,000 for the cement, and we will get another.
Yeah, the sand we got.
The sand we'll go and pick up, and the stone we'll pay out of our own pockets, ne? And so our house we started to build like that with 20,000 rand.
7.5 meters by 12 meters. That was it.
And we actually thought whenever our house in Palabora gets sold, we'll build a bigger house. But we just love our little
cottage
that we've got. We love our house.
The top section we built out of pallets. I fell off the wall, 3.6 meters, snapped my ankle and my wrist, hitting the ground, and then God miraculously just healed me immediately. Got back up and worked.
We stayed in freaking Leanne's caravan outside in a caravan while we were still busy building the house, and our kids had to go to school in the mornings. We had to bath outside with one of those camping showers, and it was cold. Oh, it was freezing cold in the night, and we would say, okay, we will only boil 2 kettles on the little gas thingy, one for Donnie and me and one for the kids. So
the thingy is a stove, that thingy.
Yeah, that thingy is a gas stove. And we would, when we moved the shower into the house, when we had one corner that's got walls, we were so happy.
Felt like we won the lotto.
So we've had a journey this past 5 years. You know, sometimes you say, I wish I could see the future. I think if you can see the future, you might give up.
In a sense, talking about the coronavirus, I think it's just an opportunity the Lord has given me to rest. These guys are gonna rest, and so let's just shut the whole world down so that Donnie can rest. Otherwise, we just continue working. I mean, we've built retaining walls, and we have done filling, and we use our car and a trailer to dig sand and drive it up, and we've just been working. Now Vusi and Nabila has left there to run the show while we're on the Bushman Safaris.
Yeah.
But so we had 4 years in White River and 1 year in Nelspruit, our church. We could not advertise because we had no right to have church on our property, because the municipal laws, they took a circle and they said that's the urban boundary, and if you are outside the urban boundary, you are not allowed to have a church there. So when we wanted to rezone, I was told that I can't rezone. I'm 1 kilometer out of the urban boundary, and I said to the guy, I said, but what should we now do? He said register something else, but according to the law, and he told me, he said, Donnie, we're going to change the law, but it's not yet changed. So there's no ways that we can give you the right to have church there. So rezone for conference facility, lodge, or whatever, and then you can make the conference facility. And because we wanted to do it legally, we did then rezone for, it took us a year to get the rezoning approved and they approved. We had no idea they're gonna approve 20 chalets. We thought if they allow us to build 3 chalets, we'd be happy. And when they approved 20, we thought, how in the world? And it just lined up with our vision that we had for so many years, that we want to take broken families, especially pastors in ministry, and bring them to our property, and they can stay there on our expense, and we can just minister into their lives and be a blessing to them. So
and I always had this dream I would have loved to have something where I could express my creativity. And so then Donnie said, listen, if you want to, you can start a wedding venue. And so I was so excited when he said I can do it, because that's been such a big dream of mine, because I've been with him in ministry for all these years, but I also had my little dreams and stuff that I wanted to do. And what would be amazing is if we've got the wedding venue that can sustain our finance our ministry,
yeah.
and then we don't have to be a burden to other people. And so yeah, we've got lots of dreams. It's frustrating for us to just sit here. Well, we are working while we are here on Bushman, but I mean, we've got so many stuff that still needs to be done. But yeah, who would have thought that we would have our 5th birthday in lockdown because of the coronavirus?
Now, so our fifth birthday, we can't be with a family and have a service and hug everybody when they come in through the door, and praise and worship and share the good news and have coffee afterwards or braai, the hardy das. And I think they're telling us it's about time that we close now.
Time to finish up.
But thank you for sticking out with me in all of this. It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy, people.
She's a hard worker, I tell you what. She can work.
I can work.
Yeah.
I love to work. And we love to work. Yeah.
Like I married a farm girl, not somebody in high heels with Q-Tex nails and I can't touch anything and So she wasn't scared to get down on her knees and float a concrete floor. And even though she's as pretty as ever,
I never have beautiful nails.
Neither do I.
My hands look like a man's hands.
I don't have colors from reading the Bible.
But it's fine.
But let me close with this and say thank you to the people that stuck it out with us. Say thank you to everybody.
From the youth,
the smallest
youth
things.
Action, youth,
from Jeugdactie 2000. We had a reunion.
Everybody that's been part of our lives. We want to say thank you for being part of our lives, and thank you for being there for us when we needed you. Sometimes I heard this saying that somebody said, and for us it makes sense, that sometimes you just need to be a scaffolding for somebody in their lives to be able to move from one level to the next. And so maybe we were just scaffoldings for somebody, but some of you were scaffolding for us. And so thank you for being part of our lives. To everybody that still loves us and still support us and still
and thank you to our Neon family, in this time of our lives that has stuck it out with us. Thank you for the people from White River that decided that we will still travel.
Even Lydenburg, I mean, Donnie we're driving up and
just up and down and it's a dangerous road.
And so we still had our congregation in Lydenburg while we were busy building a house and a church and everything in Nelspruit and White River.
It was going crazy.
So
and they just have patience with us and say, listen here, we don't expect you here every Sunday. We drive down on a Sunday afternoon to Lydenburg to have church in a venue there and just fellowship, and we neglected that for an entire year
because of building it.
Once or twice we've gone because our entire everything burned down. And we had to re-establish, and we didn't have teams of people coming in and saying to me, Donnie, you take your Bible, sit under the tree, study God's word while we build everything for you. I had to just jump in and build it. So thank you to everybody. Thank you, Natasha and
Natasha,
Nico,
I also
for the initiative. You guys have got no idea what. I think when Nico passed away and he stepped into God's glory, Jesus gave him a high five. He said, man, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
They just took the initiative and said, let's get cement for Neon. Let's rebuild Neon.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that was the catalyst. That was the thing that got this thing going so fast. And then everybody that donated and made it possible for us. I'm talking about churches and pastors. I had no idea who they are, and I'd not been in fellowship with them. Phoned me, said, Donnie, we're going to give you 5,000. Donnie, we're going to give you 10,000.
A guy we've never known before we started the church. He gave us
150,000.
150,000, like 50, 50, 50, 3 times. we didn't even know the guy before.
I met him once. He came to our church once with family members.
We
of
were
his,
blown away,
yeah.
and he
in that
actually,
time I had no faith when he gave that money.
No,
I had no
that
faith. I
was
just thought we gave up.
That morning, Donnie went out of the house, and we were on our lowest in a long time, because we had to get this church finished, but we didn't know how, and we had this conference and we didn't know what and how and when, and that day we were so down, and Donnie came home and he said, "You won't believe what just happened. I remember I was sitting in the office, he said, "You will never believe what just happened." And I said, "What?" And he said, "This guy phoned him. He doesn't even know the guy. The guy says we've met him once. He came to visit some family and in White River now, Neon, and he wants to give us 50,000 rand to put. He wants to put it in our account for the for the building." And
yeah, for the
we both just started to cry. We were blown away by it, and then people like Gaynor made sure we didn't starve in this whole time. She would
carry chicken.
She would say, "Listen, your kids need food and not peanut butter and syrup sandwiches. I'm coming over. I'm cooking for you guys." Yeah, Gaynor, you really saved my family from starvation in that whole time. There were just so many people, and we actually don't want to start to mention names because we don't want to leave out anybody that's really, really important. So we just want to say thank you. It's been 5 hard years. It's been 28 exciting years, and
looking forward to see what God's got in store for us.
Yeah, we are looking forward
in time to come. We had an awesome conference with Connie, with
Can you believe
Sandra McCollum, Joyce Meyer's daughter, Christy Rose.
It's crazy.
Shannon Orr, Gwendolyn Murray. We had an awesome time with these ladies.
And the most amazing thing, it was exactly a year, the same month, a year after our building burned down. So that's how amazing God is. And we hope that this video will just inspire you a little bit and maybe motivate you. And I mean, this corona thing sucks. I'm not sure if I can say it like that, but it sucks. And so we don't know. It feels overwhelming some days, and I mean, we don't know, but God is still in control, and you know what? He is amazing, and He is our Father and our Daddy, and He will provide. He will. And even that day when I was sitting there under that shade cloth, I said, "Lord, I'm done. I'm done. Klaar. Dankie. I'm finished. I don't even want to go on one more day."
I wanted to sing that country song. I'm gonna miss you, ding 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 ding, when you're gone. That's how done she was. I was gonna sing that song.
I was really done, and I was so miserable that day. And I mean,
in our weakness, God
absolutely
came through for us.
And on my little video today, speaking about the corona and whatever, I felt in my heart just to say, just stand and you will, and I actually put on that scripture that that the Lord will hold your hand so that you will never fall. Amen. And just we are standing on that scripture, and we are standing on God's ability to help us through this, and we know everything's gonna be okay. Yes.
Every little thing's gonna be alright. So we can write songs.
Don't
Folks,
worry.
we love you. Have a fantastic time with your family while we're in lockdown. We can't wait to have our first service. And by the way, next year this time.
Yeah, that is, you know what? Yeah. The day our church, I just want to end up with this. The day our building burned down, I decided to make a video like today, né? And that day I was so sad, né? I felt so broken. And I remember I thought in my head, and I think I even said it on the video, that I'm doing this because I want to look back a year from now, and I want to watch this video, and I want to see God's hand and what God did for us. And when I watched those 2 videos, the one the day our building burned down and the one a year later, I could just cry because of God's faithfulness. And there's a little bird going ballistic there. But so we will a year from now, we will watch this video and we will know that God is a good God.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Amen.
Yeah. Bye bye, Yella. Bye, everybody.